Hello CMA Final students. Today I am starting one new chapter, activity based costing. What is activity based costing? In a competitive world where business offer multiple products and services, it is critical to know the exact cost of the each product. So traditional method often fails in accuracy, and it also lead to wrong pricing and poor decision making as well. This is where activity based costing steps in. So to fix out the errors of traditional costing system. So when the new system come into exist only when there is a drawbacks or loopholes in the existing system. So what are the loopholes in the existing system? That is, in our traditional costing system is use only single overhead rate for allocating the resources to the cost objects. So this activity based costing come into existence in 1918s by introduced by Kalpan and Cooper. So it is developed as a response to the rising in indirect cost, and it aims to assign cost more accurately based on the activities. So what is activity based costing? Activity based costing is nothing but a method. It says that products don't directly consume the cost. It consumes the activities and activities consumes the cost. As per activity based costing, products do not directly consume the cost. Products only consumes the activities consumes the cost. First we need to trace out the resources are nothing but cost. Then we need to trace out the activities as well. So first we need to identify the activities needed to make the product. What are the activities needed for making a particular product? Next, calculate the cost of the activities. So after finding out the resources using the resource cost driver, we need to allocate those costs to the activities based on the resource cost driver. Then assign the cost to the product based on how much they use those activities. Then after finding out the activity cost, first you need to find out the resources are nothing but cost which are incurred for making the particular product, as well as activities which are involved in making a particular product. Then after you need to calculate the activity cost by using the resource cost driver. Next, after finding out the activity cost, so use these activity costs are assigned or allocated to the cost objects or products or services based on the activity cost driver. So the objective of the activity based costing is to assign the indirect cost. What is indirect cost? Our overheads more accurately to the cost objects based on the how much activities they consume by the each cost object of the product. Right. Why traditional costing system is not enough? So in traditional costing system, overheads is nothing but indirect cost. So indirect cost like electricity, rent are allocated using simple base or using single base. So like direct material cost or labor cost. So in traditional costing system, we are using the single base like direct material, direct labor. So that means the entire overheads are arise. The entire overheads are come only because of that particular base, maybe a direct material like. So in actual scenario, it may not be the same. This is not accurate because not all product uses the resources in same way. So some product use the resources on the basis of direct labor, but some product will use on the basis of direct material or some other basis. So we are this is not right way to allocate the our overheads or indirect expenses based using single overhead base. Let's take an example. So in a company, two products are there. One is product A, another one is product B. Product A uses 15 lakhs of material and product B uses 25 lakhs of material. So total 40 lakhs. The overheads is 20 lakhs. So now this company is using direct material as a base for absorption or allocating the overheads. Now 20 lakhs divided by 40 into 15 lakhs, that is for A. How much overhead out of this total overheads? How much should be allocated to product A? That is 20 lakhs is our overheads divided by 40 lakh. 40 lakhs is our volume into 15 lakh. It comes to 7 lakhs 50,000. That is nothing but 7.5. When it comes to B, it is 25 lakhs divided by 40 lakhs into, sorry, 20 lakhs divided by 40 lakhs into 25, it comes to 12 lakhs 50,000. Now we used a single overhead rate, that is our direct material. Next, what? For example, engineers later reduced the material cost of product B to 22 lakhs 50,000. Now what happened? Now engineers reduced the cost of product B from 25 lakhs to 22 lakhs 50,000. Now total direct material cost is only 35 lakhs. Now this 20 lakhs is segregated based on direct material according. So A will get 20 lakhs divided by 37 lakhs 50,000 into how much? 15 lakhs. Next B, 20 lakhs divided by 37 lakhs 50,000 into 22.5. It comes to 8 lakhs, it comes to 12 lakhs. If you observe, there is no change in the product A. So the material price is same. It won't rise or it wouldn't any decrease in the price of the material. But there is a change in material prices of B due to the overhead rate is increased from 7 lakhs 50,000 to 8 lakhs. Yes or no? So this is the drawback of traditional costing system. So it will lead to inappropriate, it will lead to wrong decision making as well. Even though A did not change, its overheads went from 7,50,000 to 8 lakh. This is misleading and can cause the wrong decisions. So now there is no change in product A, but the overheads is increased from 7,50,000 to 8 lakhs. So cost is segregated into direct cost and indirect. There is two types of cost. One is direct cost and so in ABC costing or traditional costing, the direct cost is directly allocated to the cost object. So the complexity and the problem arises only in the case of indirect cost. Indirect cost is we won't allocate this indirect cost directly to the cost object. We need some base for allocating this indirect cost to the cost object. That is nothing but cost allocation. So this is nothing but cost absorption. So we have two methods for allocating the indirect cost to the cost object. One is traditional costing and another one is ABC costing. So traditional costing is a volume based allocation. So it uses using labor hours, machine hours, or units. So will use only single base for allocating entire indirect cost, entire overheads to the cost objects, ABC costing. So cost driver based allocation. So it uses multiple cost drivers and multiple bases for allocating the indirect cost to the cost objects. Next, important terms in activity based costing. First one is activity. What is activity? Activity means an aggregate of closely related tasks having specific function which are used for completion of the goal or an objective. What is our goal? Producing a product or rendering of a service. So activity is a closely related task which are used to complete our goal. So what are the activities? Customer processing order, assembling, packing, advertising. These are all called as activities. Resources. So resources are the factors which are used to complete the activities. So resources are the elements or factors that are used for performing the activities. So resources is nothing but cost. So order, receiver, telephone, computer. These are all the resources which will consume the cost. So activity consume the resources. Resources will consume the cost. What is the cost? Amount of resources. Cost is the amount paid for resources consumed by the activity. salaries, printing stationery, telephone. What is cost object? It refers to an item. It may be a product or it may be a service for which cost measurement is required. So cost object is nothing but for which purpose we are calculating the cost. For example, if you are calculating the cost of a particular student, the student is here cost object. If you are calculating the cost for a entire room, here the room is the cost object. If you are calculating the cost for the entire building, the entire building is here our cost object. Cost object may be a product or a service or a customer. So for which cost measurement is required, cost pool. So a cost pool is a term used to indicate the grouping of the cost incurred on a particular activity which drives them. So cost pool is nothing but grouping of the cost of an activity. For example, take an example, reception. So receptionist cost. It is also a indirect cost. In reception, we incur a lot of cost like stationery, telephone, receptionist salary, some other miscellaneous expenses. So here we incur four costs. These four costs are accumulated or pooled into one cost, that is nothing but receptionist cost. So here reception is an activity. So now we are pooling the cost of four items, that is telephone, stationery, salary and other miscellaneous costs. So these cost pool is nothing but a total cost of a particular activity. Next, cost driver. Next one is cost driver. Cost driver is a base which drives the cost of an activity to the cost object based on the actual amount of resources consumed by each product or a cost object. So there is two types of cost drivers. One is resource cost driver, another one is activity cost driver. Resource cost driver is nothing but measure of quantity of resources consumed by an activity. So resource cost driver is used to allocate the resources to the activity. Resource cost driver is used to allocate the resources to the activity. Activity cost driver is used to allocate the activity cost to the products. So now resources resources are consumed by activities. Activities are consumed by products. Okay. Now, what is expenses? So this is nothing but resources. For allocating these expenses to activities, we use resource cost driver. Once after finding out the activity cost, we use the activity cost driver to allocate the activity cost to the cost object. It may be a product or it may be a service. Let's take it an example. So for performing a reception activity, receptionist is an activity. For performing reception activity, we need a lot of resources like receptionist as well as stationery, as well as electricity, telephone, some miscellaneous expenses. So for receptionist, we need to pay the salary. It is also cost. Telephone, we need to pay the bill. It is also cost. For stationery, we need to pay the stationery expenses, some miscellaneous. So for accumulating this all, after accumulating this all is known as activity. Which activity? Reception activity. For accumulating these all cost, we use the resource cost driver. Resource cost driver is used to trace out the cost of an activity. So, or trace out the cost to the activity. This activity cost driver is used to allocate the activity cost to the cost object. Measure of frequency and intensity of demand placed on activity by cost object. How much activity is used by each cost object, used to apportionate the cost of activity to the cost object. Next, steps in activity based costing. First step, identify the chosen cost object. What is our cost object? It may be a product, or it may be a service, or it may be a customer, anything. What is our first choose? First identify our cost object. Next, relate the resources to activity using resource cost driver. So first find out the resources. What type of resources we use, for what activity we use these resources. So relate the resources to the activity. Next, after relating the resources to the activity, find out the activity cost. Find out the activity cost by using the resource cost driver. It is nothing but a cost tool. Next, identify the cost driver for each activity. Identify the cost driver for each activity based on the activity. So identify the cost driver. Next, calculate the cost driver rate. Calculate the cost driver rate using the formula total activity cost divided by volume of the cost driver. Total volume of the cost driver. Next, calculate the cost of the product. Calculate the cost of the product or service by charging the activity cost to the cost object based on the cost driver rate. Using the cost driver rate, charge the activity cost. Using the cost driver rate, charge the activity cost to the cost object. Here, some activities with their drivers are given. For machine cost, what is the cost driver? Machine hours. For assembly cost, what is the cost driver? Number of parts assembled. Inspection and testing, what is the cost driver? Number of inspections. Packing cost, what is the cost driver? Number of containers or number of packings. Dispatch, number of deliveries. Overheads are allocated to activities based on resource cost driver. Next, activity cost is allocated to products or cost objects based on activity cost driver. Where we use the traditional costing system and where we use the activity based costing system. Whenever there is a single product, we use a traditional costing system because the entire cost we incur for single product only. There is no need to use the IBC costing. There is no need to trace out the accurate cost. The whatever amount of cost you invested is for this single product only. Next, whenever multiple products are existed in the company or business, we use the activity based costing. Narrow range of products. That means only one or two products are there. Wide variety of products. Whenever wide variety of products, we need to calculate the accurate cost of each product. So we use activity based costing. Labor intensive. Next one is labor intensive. So whenever company is producing the products using labor, the amount of overheads incurred for the labor mostly. So we use labor hours as a base. So capital intensive. So whenever the business is producing the products using assets, using the machineries, using the other technologies, the overheads we incur for many purposes. So we use the activity based costing. So traditional costing system use when there is no competition, because whatever amount you incur, you can get it from the customer. So ABC costing is used when there is a fringe competition. When there is a high level of competition, we use the activity based costing because you need to reduce the cost. Whenever you increase the cost, you have to collect it from the customers. Ultimately, when the price of the goods increases, customers won't buy it. He will go with your competitor. No facilities. So traditional costing system used when there is no facilities. Activity based costing used when there is high facilities. So direct to indirect cost. When the direct when the large portion of total cost is your direct cost, we use the traditional costing system. When the large portion of your cost consists of both direct and indirect cost as well, we use activity based costing system. Product department to service department. Whenever more production department and less in service department, we use the traditional costing system. When production departments are less, service departments are more, we use the activity based costing system. Next, benefits of activity based costing system. Cost accuracy. So we are allocating the overheads not based on the single overhead, based on the actual consumption of activity. So the accurate cost, we will find the accurate cost of the product. So better product costing by removing the wrong allocations. So in ABC costing, we will find the value added and non-value added activities as well. What is value added and what is non-value added? Value added means which will create some value to the product. Like a camera in the mobile phone will create some value to the product. When it comes to radio, nowadays no one is using radio. So radio won't create any additional value to the product. Now in ABC costing, we will identify the value, which are the value added activities and which are the non-value added activities. So we will remove the non-value added activities, which will ultimately reduce the cost of the product actually. Next, pricing. When you are getting the accurate cost, the pricing of the product will also be accurate. Profitability. So know which customer and product is profitable. So using activity based costing, so which product is profit making and which product is loss making, we can identify, and the loss making product we will remove it from the production line. Budgeting. So make budgeting more realistic and accurate. So using ABC costing, we can budget more accurately and more realistic. Decision making. So ABC costing will also used in the decision making, like keep or drop. Like whenever the product is in loss making, we can drop the product, make or buy. So when the making is less than the buying from outside, we can go with the making of the product. Next, outsource or not. So whenever outsourcing is cheaper than making, then we can go with the outsourcing. Like so ABC costing is used in this type of decision making. Example of real life. For example, let's say we started on CMA coaching institute. So we offer both online classes and offline classes. In traditional costing system, the rent and electricity salaries may be divided based on the number of students, both online and, for example, in online 50 are there, in face to face 50 are there. So online students won't come to classes. This rent and electricity is not meant for them. So these rent and electricity should be borne by whom? These face-to-face class students only. But as per the traditional costing system, for example, total overheads is 1 lakh. So how many students are there? 100. Comes to per student 1000 rupees. So for rent and electricity and salaries, we need to collect 1000 rupees from each student. That is our traditional costing system. When it comes to ABC, what ABC will say? These online class students won't consume the rent and electricity. So because rent and electricity should be borne by whom? These face-to-face batch are nothing but offline students only. So salary should be borne by all the students. So but in ABC, online classes consume more IT and tech support. When there is a like internet charges or some other technical charges, these charges should be borne by whom? These online class students. Next, face-to-face classes consume more classroom space and administration charges. Next, ABC assign cost based on actual usage, not on the head count. So activity-based costing assign the cost to the cost object based on actual usage of activity, not based on the head count. So how much you are using, we have to incur that much. Now we will do one problem. A company produces 4 products PQRS. The data relating to the production activity as under. So product PQRS quantity 4,500, 13,640, 2,340, and for S 18,350. So material cost per unit, labor cost, labor hours per unit. It is labor hours, 2 hours, 2 hours, 5 hours, 4 hours. Machine hours per unit. So 1.5, 0.75, 2.5. Labor cost per unit. Here they given. Production overheads are as under. So what is it? Overheads. Overheads applicable to machine oriented activity. Production overheads are as under. Overheads applicable to machine oriented activity. For machine oriented activity, overheads are 1,65,900. What is the cost driver for this? Machine hours. Overheads related to ordering of materials. How much it is? 87,000. Sorry, 8,760 ET. What is the cost driver for it? Number of orders. Setup. Number of setups is the cost driver. Administration overheads for spare parts. Number of spare parts. Material handling cost. Number of times materials handled is the cost driver for this activity. So here we have number of setups, number of materials, number of times materials handled, number of spare parts. So now we need to require select the suitable cost driver for each item of overhead expense and calculate the cost per unit of cost driver. Cost per unit of cost driver. Yes, cost per unit of cost driver. Nothing but our cost driver rate. Using the concept of activity based costing, compute the factory cost per unit of each product. Now we need to calculate the factory cost per each product. Calculation of cost driver rate. Activity cost, cost driver, volume, cost driver rate. What is first activity? Nothing but machine oriented activity. Machine. What is the cost? 1,65,900. 1,65,900. What is the cost driver? Cost driver is machine hours. Volume. What is the volume? How many machine hours are there? So now we need to do one working note. Here per unit we need 1.5 machine hours. How many? What is the quantity? 4,500. So here working note 1, calculation of machine hours for P. How many units? 4,500 units into 4,500 units into per unit. How many machine hours are required? 1.5 to 1.5. Next for Q. How much it is? 4,500 into 1.5, that is 6,750. Next 13,640 into 0.75, it comes to 10,230. Next for R, 2,340 units into 2.5 machine hours, that comes to 5,850. Next for S, 18,350 into 4 comes to 73,400. Total how many machine hours? 96,230. This is our machine hours. Now we need to write 93,000, sorry, 96,230 machine hours. What is the cost driver rate? Comes to 1.724 per hour. That means if you use 1 hour of machine, you need to recover how much? 1.724 rupees for each machine hour. What is the second activity? Ordering. Ordering. How much? Ordering. What is the cost? 8,760. Total. How many orders? 30. So what is the cost driver for ordering? Number of orders. Number of orders. Hmm. So 8,760 divided by 30 to 92 per order. Setup cost. What is the setup cost? 21,400. So number of setups is our cost driver. What is the volume? Total number of setups. That is 50. It comes to 428 per setup. These notations are very very important. So don't leave by writing 428. What is 428? 428 rupees, 428 hours, 428 units. What is it? You need to mention the notations. 428 per setup. Next, administration OH. Administration overheads 44,690. What is the cost driver? Number of spare parts for administration overheads per spare parts. How much it is? What is the volume? Total number of spare parts, that is 36. So how much we need to recover for each spare part? That is 1241.39. Next, material handling. How much? 25,545. Number of times material handled. What is the cost driver? Number of times material handled. What is the volume? Total volume of volume. So 81. It comes to 315.37 per spare part per material. So this is our cost driver rate. So we need to recover 1.74 per machine hour, 292 for each material order placed, 428 per setup, 12,241.39 for spare part, 315 per material. Now calculation of cost per unit. Total cost per unit. So how many products are there? 4. Particulars P, Q, R, S. P, Q, R, S. Particulars P, Q, R, S. First, material. How much it is? Material. What is the material cost? 12 rupees per unit. That is 12. Hmm. For P, 15, 25, 21. 15, 25, 21. Next, Labor cost. What is labor cost? 8 rupees, 9 rupees, 27, 25. Don't take this one. This is labor hours. So I am asking labor cost per unit. Next. So it comes to, what is it? Prime cost. Prime cost. How much it is? 20, 24, 52, 46 units. How many units are there? How many units are there? 4,500, 13,640, 2,340, 18,350. So total prime cost comes to 20 into 40, 4,500. That is 90,000. Next, 24 into 13,640. 3,27,360. Next, 52 into 2,340. 1,21,680. Next, 46 into 18,350. 8,44,100. Next, this is our total. Next, overheads. Overheads. First, next one is machine hours. P uses how many machine hours? 6,750. So P uses 6,750 machine hours. For each machine hour, we need to recover how much? 1.274. 6,750 into 1.724. 6,750 into 1.724. 11,637. Next, Q uses how many machine hours? 10,230 into 10,230 into 1.724. This is recovery rate. 1.724. 17,636.5. Next, R uses 5,850 into 1.724. That comes to 5,850 into 1.724. 10,085. Next, S uses 73,400 into 1.724. 73,400 into 1.724 to 1.724. 1,26,542. Next, which one is the next one is ordering. Per order you need to recover 292. So P uses how many orders? For P, how many orders? 3. So 292 into 3, 876. 292 into 3, 876. For Q, how many orders? Q uses 12. 12 into 292. 12 into 292, 3504. 292 into 12. Next, R uses how many orders? 3 orders. Same, 876, 3504. Next, what is the next cost? Setup. Setup cost. Cost. Setup cost. How much? So how many setups used by this P number of setups? 3. So 3 into what is the setup cost? 428. 3 into 428. That is 1 to 3 to 428. Next, for Q, how many orders it is? 18. 18 into 428. How many? 7,704. 18 into 428. Next, for R, how many orders? It is how many setups? 24. Sorry, 5. 5 into 428 comes to 2,140. 5 into 428. Next, yes, how much? 24. 24 into 428. It comes to 10,272. That is 24 into 428. Spare parts. Spare parts. How many spare parts used by P6? So 6 into what is the cost per spare part? 1241.39 into 6. 7,448.48. 6 into 1241.39. So next, for Q, how many spare parts? 15. 1241.39 into 15. So 18,620.85. That is 15 into 1241.39. Next, how much? How many orders? 3. So 3 into 1241.39. 3,724.17 comes to 31241.39. Next, last one, how much? 12. 12 into 1241.39. So 14,896.68. 12 into 41.39. Next, material handling. Material handling. How much? What is the, so 6, 39, 36. So what is the cost per material handling? 315.37. 315.37 into 6. 1892.22. So 6 into 315. 315.37. Next, 9. So 2838.33. 9 into 315.37. Next, how many? 30, 36. 30. 9461.1. 30 into 315.37. Next, here 11,353.32. So 36 into 315.37. Total cost. What is the total cost? So 90,000 plus 11,637 plus 876 plus 12,084 plus 7,448.34 plus 1892.22. 1,13,137.56. Next, for this, prime cost is 3,27,360 plus 17,636.5 plus 3504 plus 7704 plus 18,620 plus 9,461. 3,84,285.5. Next, 1,21,680 plus 10,085 plus 876 plus 2,140 plus 3,724 plus 2,838.33. 1,41,343.43. Next, 84 8 lakhs 44,100 plus 1 lakh 26,542 plus 2,504 plus 10,272 plus 1 lakh 4,896.68 plus 11,353.32. 10 lakhs 10,668. So this is our total cost for each product. But he asked in the question, what he asked in the question is in the concept of activity based costing, compute the factory cost per each per unit of each product. He asked per unit. How many units? Units is 4,500, 13,640, 2,340, 18,350. So per unit. per unit cost is equals to 25.14384285.5 divided by 13,640. 28.17. Next, 1,41,343.43 divided by 2340. 60.40. Next, 10 lakhs 10,668 divided by 18350. 55.077. This is our per unit cost per PQRS.